Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's deep dive, we're going to talk about one of the most iconic characters in sci-fi history, Ellen Ripley. You know, the face that defined what it means to survive, fight, and keep going when everything is stacked against you. But it's not just Ripley's ability to take on the terrifying Xenomorphs that makes her legendary. No. Her story is layered with loss, sacrifice, courage, and of course, the ever-present battle between humanity and corporate greed. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below letting me know your thoughts on Ripley or the Alien franchise. Your support means the world to me. Also, if you're into deep lore and analysis, I recently uploaded some lore to sleep videos, and I was so happy to see that one of you commented saying it helped you feel even just a little better. That truly made my day. More lore to sleep videos are on the way, so stay tuned for those. Alright, let's get into it. Why is Ellen Ripley such a timeless badass? Let's break it down together. We'll break down her character arc throughout the Alien saga, from her initial encounter with the Xenomorphs on the Nostromo to her legacy, and the eternal question. What is it that makes Ripley truly heroic? Was she just trying to survive? Or was she fighting for something greater? And what about those creepy Xenomorphs? Why did Weyland-Yutani become obsessed with them? Why did Ripley, time and time again, become the one person who stood between humanity and the horrors of these aliens? So grab your spacesuit, because we're about to journey into the heart of the alien universe, where things are never quite what they seem. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive right into this epic tale of survival, danger, and the true meaning of heroism. The story of Ellen Ripley starts as a normal member of the crew aboard the Nostromo, a commercial towing spaceship. Her journey, like any character in the Alien franchise, begins with an ordinary task, but it quickly escalates into an extraordinary nightmare. Ripley is a highly skilled officer, but what sets her apart is her resilience and determination to survive. The Nostromo incident, which serves as the pivotal moment in Ripley's life, is the first encounter with the Xenomorph species. She is one of the few survivors of the horrific events that unfold after the crew responds to a distress signal on a distant planet. Ripley's strength doesn't lie just in her ability to survive the Xenomorphs, but in her ability to maintain her sanity and will to fight back in the face of almost insurmountable odds. Ripley's role in the story isn't just as a survivor, but as a person who is forced to make difficult choices for the greater good. One of the most iconic moments in her story is when she fights not just to escape, but to destroy the alien species that has brought death to her crew. She embodies an unyielding spirit that refuses to accept death or give in to fear. This resilience becomes a hallmark of Ripley's character across all the films. It's also interesting to note Ripley's relationship with authority. In the first Alien film, Ripley is often at odds with the corporate interests of Weyland-Yutani and the way they prioritize profits over human lives. Her conflict with the corporation is rooted in her strong sense of ethics, and it is something that continues throughout the series, especially as she encounters the corporation's manipulative and callous behavior. After surviving the Nostromo incident, Ripley's life doesn't return to normal. She struggles with the emotional and psychological aftermath, but also the social rejection and disbelief from those who think she's simply a woman with an imagination gone wild. This is especially true in Aliens, where Ripley is dismissed as crazy by the authorities when she warns them about the Xenomorph threat. This sets up a key element of Ripley's character development, her struggle not just against alien creatures, but against societal expectations and the dismissal of her warnings. Throughout Aliens, Ripley not only faces the Xenomorphs again, but also the threat of the militarized Weyland-Yutani forces. This time she must step into the role of protector, as she forms a bond with the young girl, Newt. Her decision to risk her life to save Newt and her newfound sense of maternal instincts deepen Ripley's complexity, showcasing how the character evolves from being a survivor to a symbol of strength, both physically and emotionally. Ellen Ripley's relationship with the Xenomorphs is one that transcends survival. In Alien 3, Ripley faces her most difficult challenge yet, facing the Xenomorph once again, but this time she also has to confront the consequences of being genetically linked to the alien species. This film explores Ripley's internal conflict as she grapples with the knowledge that she's carrying a xenomorph embryo inside her, bringing a deep sense of dread and isolation. Ripley is forced to make the ultimate sacrifice to end the xenomorph's reign of terror. Her self-sacrifice in Alien 3 is the ultimate act of redemption for her character. She chooses to end her life to ensure that the xenomorphs are destroyed for good, acknowledging that her personal survival isn't as important as stopping the threat once and for all. Ripley's death is not just the end of her story, but a testament to her unwavering sense of duty, even in the face of her own demise. The legacy of Ellen Ripley extends far beyond the film. She has become an iconic figure in the science fiction genre and is often cited as one of the greatest female characters in cinema history. Ripley broke stereotypes of women in science fiction, showing that a female protagonist could be strong, complex, and capable of leading a narrative without relying on traditional gender roles. Even after her death in Alien 3, Ripley's presence is still felt throughout the franchise. She is remembered not only for her bravery, but for the inspiration she gave to countless people. Her story is one of struggle, survival, and ultimately, triumph over insurmountable odds. Ripley's legacy lives on in the themes of human resilience, the fight against corporate corruption, and the enduring hope that one person can change the course of history. As Ripley's journey unfolds, we see that she's more than just a survivor. She becomes a force of nature. In Aliens, Ripley is forced to return to the very place that caused her so much trauma, the V426, but this time she's not running away, she's taking control. Ripley takes on the role of a protector, not just for Newt, but for the Marines who've been sent to deal with the alien threat. This drastic shift from the terrified woman of Alien to the confident, battle-ready Ripley we see in Aliens is one of the most powerful aspects of her character development. What's interesting is that Ripley is constantly put into situations where the odds are stacked against her, and she consistently rises to the occasion. But it's also clear that her growth is not linear. She doesn't go from scared to brave overnight. Instead, Ripley's character is shaped by her experiences, and each trial she faces builds on her resolve to protect those she cares about. It's this development that resonates with audiences, making her not just an action hero, but a well-rounded, emotionally complex character. In addition to her transformation into a warrior figure, Ripley's journey is also heavily influenced by her relationship with motherhood. After losing her daughter, Amanda, to old age during her deep space journey in the first film, Ripley's bond with Newt in Aliens is not only a symbol of protection, but also of personal healing. Her desire to shield Newt from the horrors of the alien infestation reflects Ripley's deep-seated need for family and connection. Ripley's ability to overcome her own emotional baggage and provide safety and guidance for Newt is a poignant moment in the film. This protective maternal instinct makes her not only a hero but a mother figure, further expanding her character's emotional depth. As much as Ripley is an empowered survivor and fighter, her nurturing side speaks to the fact that heroes come in all forms, not just those with weapons in hand. Ripley's journey throughout the Alien saga is in many ways a story of sacrifice and redemption. In Aliens, we see Ripley's protective instincts emerge as she forms a bond with Newt, the young survivor of the Xenomorph attack. The trauma Ripley suffered in the first film has reshaped her, and her new purpose becomes clear: to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Her relationship with Newt shows a softer side to Ripley, a side that desires connection and care, even after everything she's been through. It's not just survival anymore. It's about nurturing hope for the future, even in a hostile, alien-infested universe. This instinct to protect others extends beyond just the survivors of her immediate environment. Ripley's actions in Aliens and beyond reveal an underlying desire to prevent the same horrors from repeating. Her journey, while painful, becomes an important catalyst for the eventual fight against the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, an organization willing to exploit humanity's destruction for corporate gain. Ripley's decisions to confront the Xenomorphs, even when faced with near insurmountable odds, are often framed as acts of defiance against this corporation and the world it represents. One of the most powerful aspects of Ripley's character is her enduring humanity despite the overwhelming odds she faces. Ripley could have become a cold, calculating survivor like many others who have faced the terror of the Xenomorphs. Instead, she remains deeply human, driven by emotions, compassion, and a desire for justice. Even when she becomes a genetically altered clone in Alien Resurrection, we see traces of the human Ripley that once fought for the future of others. Her fight against the Xenomorphs transcends physical survival. It's also a battle against the dehumanizing forces at play in the universe. Whether she's dealing with the corrupt Weyland-Yutani or the brutality of the Xenomorphs, Ripley's humanity is always what fuels her resolve. She's not just an action hero fighting monsters. She's a mother, a leader, and a protector, which adds immense depth to her character. In addition to her personal struggles, Ripley is consistently at odds with the larger forces at play in the alien universe. While the Xenomorphs represent an existential threat, the true antagonist of the series is often the corrupt corporations like Weyland-Yutani, which are willing to sacrifice human lives for profit. Ripley's repeated encounters with the corporation and her constant struggle to stop them from exploiting the Xenomorphs for their own gain reflect a broader commentary on greed, corporate malfeasance, and the lengths to which some organizations will go to for power. Weyland-Yutani is the epitome of corporate greed in the Alien series, embodying the dangers of unchecked ambition. In Alien Resurrection, we see that even though Ripley has fought against them before, they still view her as an asset to be exploited, despite the fact that she's now a genetically enhanced clone. Ripley's ongoing battle with Weyland-Yutani shows just how deep the corruption goes, and it becomes clear that her personal fight is intertwined with a much larger, more insidious force. She's not just fighting for her life, she's fighting for the survival of the human race. Ripley's transformation from a mere survivor to a symbol of resistance is an integral part of her evolution. She's not just a lone figure standing against the tide of darkness, she represents something much greater. In Alien 3, despite the overwhelming odds, Ripley continues to hold on to a deep sense of purpose. Her self-sacrifice, choosing to end her own life rather than let the xenomorph embryo inside her hatch, is one of the most powerful moments in the series. This act, while tragic, symbolizes Ripley's complete rejection of the Xenomorphs and their existence as a threat to humanity. She does not want to be the instrument of further destruction. In a way, her final decision represents a cleansing of the past, the ultimate ending of the cycle of death that the Xenomorphs have caused. Ripley's character arc is, in essence, a profound meditation on sacrifice, legacy, and the price of survival in a universe that has shown no mercy. Finally, Ripley's legacy transcends the Alien films themselves. She is a character that, despite all the horror and darkness she faces, leaves an indelible mark on the Alien franchise. Through Ripley, the series explores themes of identity, survival, and humanity, and how these concepts intersect in the face of unimaginable terror. She is a symbol of human strength, resilience, and most importantly, the will to stand against overwhelming odds, even when everything seems hopeless. As the Alien franchise progresses and new characters are introduced, Ripley's shadow looms large. She may no longer be physically present, but her actions continue to inspire those who fight against the Xenomorphs and the corporations seeking to exploit them. Her story is one of both personal and collective resistance, resisting the alien, resisting the corporations, and ultimately resisting the very forces that seek to erase humanity itself. Ripley's legacy is a testament to the power of individual resolve, and the enduring hope that even in the darkest corners of the universe, humanity can still survive. Ripley's relationship with the Xenomorphs is a complex one that evolves throughout the saga. While initially, she is simply trying to survive and escape by Aliens and Alien 3, she is no longer just a victim of circumstance. The Xenomorphs have become the symbol of her struggle, representing the destructive force of the universe that she is constantly forced to confront. In Alien 3, Ripley even acknowledges that the Xenomorphs are a part of her. She knows the struggle against them is part of her destiny. Ripley's internal struggle is one of both humanity and survival. She is forced to make difficult decisions that weigh her morals and humanity against her need to survive. Her willingness to sacrifice herself in Alien 3 by jumping into the furnace to destroy the alien embryo inside her speaks to her ongoing internal battle. She realizes that, as long as the Xenomorphs exist, humanity will never be truly safe. Ripley's connection with the Xenomorphs in this sense is one of rejection, as she refuses to be the vessel that ensures their survival. As much as Ripley fights against the Xenomorphs and the corporation exploiting them, her journey is ultimately one of personal redemption. She begins the series as a somewhat reluctant hero, thrust into a situation she couldn't have predicted. By the time Aliens rolls around, Ripley has accepted her role as a defender and protector, even if it's not a title she ever wanted. She evolves from a person who is simply trying to survive into a mother figure for Newt, someone who gives all of herself to protect the young girl from the same fate she experienced. Ripley's bond with Newt exemplifies one of the series' most important themes: connection in a fractured world. Even in a universe filled with chaos, destruction, and death, Ripley proves that there's still space for love, protection, and loyalty. This newfound purpose for Ripley pushes her further than she thought possible, and she becomes an unlikely hero who will fight tooth and nail to protect those she cares about. Ripley's transformation throughout the series also emphasizes a fascinating contradiction: the cost of survival. And by the time we reach Alien Resurrection, Ripley is no longer the woman who fled the horror of the first film. She is a woman reborn, but her rebirth is fraught with complex moral implications. As a clone, Ripley finds herself caught between two versions of herself: the human she once was and the modified version that has become a weapon of the corporation. The choice Ripley faces in Alien Resurrection speaks to the ongoing theme of identity in the series. She is forced to confront the reality of her own mortality while simultaneously grappling with what it means to be human. Is she still the same person? Or is she simply a creation of corporate science, doomed to live out her life in the shadow of the Xenomorphs? These questions serve as the heart of her character's arc in the later films, showing how far she has come from the quiet, determined officer she was in the first movie. Throughout the Alien films, Ripley's journey is a reminder that sometimes survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about fighting for what's right. In the first movie, Ripley's survival was merely a matter of escape, but as the series continues, her actions become more driven by a desire for justice. Her battles against the Xenomorphs are not merely for personal safety, but also for the greater good. By the time we reach Aliens, she has learned the true cost of survival. And it isn't just about defeating the alien, it's about stopping the cycle of exploitation that Weyland-Yutani represents. Ripley's survival is often defined by her ability to make decisions under extreme pressure. This skill becomes especially critical in Aliens, where she must lead a group of Marines through the wreckage of the alien infestation. Her calm, methodical approach contrasts sharply with the Marines' initial bravado. While the soldiers are initially prepared to fight with firepower and overconfidence, Ripley's experience and understanding of the Xenomorphs give her an edge. This shift in the narrative emphasizes a crucial theme. Experience and wisdom are often more powerful than raw strength. Ripley doesn't just survive, she adapts and outsmarts her enemies. In this way, Ripley is not only an alien fighter, but a leader who knows how to use strategy and psychology to her advantage, making her a more effective opponent than anyone could have predicted. Ripley's journey in Alien Resurrection is also about reclaiming her autonomy. After being brought back as a clone, Ripley struggles with the consequences of her resurrection. She is literally a shadow of her former self, a hybrid of alien and human. But this conflict between her former identity and her new existence pushes her to become a more complex and morally ambiguous character. While still fighting against the alien threat, Ripley also battles the fear of losing her humanity. The humanity that she believed she had lost after the events of Alien 3. Her resurrection represents a rebirth, but also a painful evolution, symbolizing the price of survival. She must accept that the choices she made in life have consequences far beyond her control. But ultimately, she learns to reconcile these internal battles, which adds another layer to her character's depth. In a broader sense, Ripley is a reflection of a larger societal struggle, one where humanity's fear of the unknown, combined with unchecked scientific experimentation, creates chaos. Weyland-Yutani, the corporation behind the experiments that led to the creation of the Xenomorphs, serves as a warning about the dangers of exploiting science for personal gain. Ripley's fight against them becomes more than personal survival. It becomes a fight for humanity's soul. Her repeated attempts to thwart Weyland-Yutani's plans, whether it's stopping them from using the Xenomorphs as biological weapons or ensuring their destruction at all costs, places Ripley at the center of the ultimate battle between ethics and progress. She stands as the final line of defense, even when the odds seem insurmountable. The trauma Ripley experiences throughout the series is also a major part of her character development. She is not simply a warrior or a survivor. Ripley's resilience comes from her ability to cope with loss and grief. From losing her crew in the first Alien film to the psychological toll of raising Newt in Aliens, Ripley's journey is as much about emotional survival as it is about physical survival. In Alien 3, the loss of Newt, whom she had grown to love like a daughter, seems to be the final blow. But rather than succumb to despair, Ripley's resolve hardens, and she takes on a final mission that will end not only the alien menace, but also her own life. This moment showcases the depth of her character and the internal sacrifices she's made throughout the series, underlining the themes of sacrifice, survival, and redemption. Ripley's legacy in the Alien series also influences the portrayal of female protagonists in science fiction. Ripley was ahead of her time. She was an action hero, not defined by her gender, but by her actions and choices. Her character paved the way for other female heroes in the genre, like Sarah Connor in The Terminator and Rey in Star Wars. Ripley's influence is especially clear when you look at how the genre has evolved. She was one of the first female characters who wasn't relegated to a secondary or supportive role, but was the driving force behind the narrative. Her success is a testament to the changing attitudes in the film industry towards women in action films. Strength, intelligence, and emotional depth became the hallmark of her character, influencing how future heroines would be written and perceived. Ripley's ongoing struggle with the alien lifeform also serves an allegory for the human condition. The Xenomorphs represent the unknown, the uncontrollable aspects of life that lurk in the shadows, waiting to strike. Just as humanity faces threats that are beyond its comprehension and control, Ripley embodies humanity's defiance in the face of insurmountable odds. Her fight with the Xenomorphs is not just about defeating them, it's about surviving in a world where survival is not guaranteed. She represents the human spirit's ability to adapt, fight, and endure, even when faced with the most terrifying of unknowns. Her continued battle with the aliens, even when she has no reason to believe she can win, showcases her refusal to be defeated by forces beyond her control. Ripley's actions throughout the Alien films, and especially in Aliens, also reflect the darker side of human nature, our propensity to destroy what we cannot control. The Xenomorphs, as creatures born of fear and violence, embody the consequences of humanity's own destructive tendencies. Weyland-Yutani's desire to control and weaponize these creatures is the ultimate example of corporate greed and irresponsibility. Ripley's personal battle against this force is representative of a larger fight against humanity's tendency to create monsters and then try to control them, often with disastrous results. In this way, Ripley is not just fighting for survival, but for a world where reckless ambition does not lead to extinction. Ripley's final confrontation with the Xenomorph Queen in Aliens remains one of the most iconic moments in cinema history. This battle represents more than just a physical confrontation. It is the culmination of Ripley's transformation from a passive survivor into a fiercely protective mother figure. The Queen, as a terrifyingly intelligent creature, mirrors Ripley's own survival instincts, and their final clash becomes a symbolic representation of the struggle between maternal instinct and unrelenting violence. Ripley's victory is not just about defeating the alien, but about defining her own legacy. She is no longer the frightened officer she once was. She is a survivor, a protector, and a force to be reckoned with. Ripley's relationship with the Xenomorphs evolves into something almost philosophical by the end of the series. Are they merely monsters, or are they a representation of humanity's darkest impulses? The Xenomorphs are creatures of instinct, driven by the singular need to reproduce. Yet, Ripley's refusal to simply treat them as mindless killing machines reveals her deeper understanding. They are products of an environment that seeks to destroy and consume everything in its path. Ripley's final moments, where she chooses to go down with the alien threat, reflect the ultimate self-sacrifice, suggesting that sometimes the only way to defeat the cycle of violence is to end it entirely. In a way, Ripley's journey is the story of humanity's need to break free from its own destructive cycles. Ripley's role in the alien saga is often perceived as one of pure survival, but as the films progress, her character evolves into a symbol of moral ambiguity. She is not simply fighting for her own survival, but for the survival of the human race, even when it means sacrificing her own sense of normality. After the horrors she witnessed aboard the Nostromo, and later the tragedies surrounding the colonists and aliens, Ripley begins to view the Xenomorphs as more than just an alien species. To her, they are the ultimate embodiment of human greed and exploitation. Ripley is trying to break free from the cycle of destruction that humanity has inadvertently created, and this internal struggle only deepens as the films go on. In Alien Resurrection, Ripley becomes something altogether different. She is a product of the corporation's desperation, a genetic experiment whose very existence challenges the very idea of life and death. She grapples with the fact that she's no longer the same woman who fought the Xenomorphs years earlier. Her very body is altered, merged with alien DNA, which creates a unique conflict between her humanity and the alien within her. The psychological toll this takes on Ripley is immense. Her human nature fights against the alien side of her, leading to fascinating, unsettling moments in Resurrection where she shows traits and behaviors typical of the Xenomorphs, yet still fights to protect human life. This duality of Ripley's character highlights a major theme: that survival is never as simple as just staying alive. It's about what we're willing to become to protect what matters most. Ripley's relationship with the Xenomorphs is multi-layered. She starts off as a mere survivor, fighting for her life in the first film. But as the saga unfolds, Ripley's connection to the creatures grows more complex. She begins to understand the aliens' behaviors, perhaps more deeply than anyone else. In Aliens, she refers to the Queen as a mother, acknowledging a strange and almost personal connection between herself and the alien queen. Ripley and the Xenomorph Queen are two sides of the same coin, both mothers fiercely protecting their progeny. By framing their conflict as a battle between mothers, the films raise an important question: is Ripley fighting to protect humanity, or is she fighting because deep down she has a shared connection with the creatures she seeks to destroy? One of the most striking aspects of Ripley's character arc is the progressive exploration of her emotional resilience. Throughout the series, Ripley faces unimaginable horrors, yet she remains focused on the task at hand, always determined to push forward. Her strength, both physical and mental, is central to her survival. However, as we dive deeper into her psyche, we begin to see that Ripley's exterior toughness is a shield for the overwhelming emotional trauma she has suffered. In Alien 3, the loss of Newt, her surrogate daughter, is devastating. Ripley's decision to sacrifice herself at the end of Alien 3 shows the depths of her emotional burden. Her resilience isn't just about physical strength. It's about her ability to endure the emotional toll of constant loss and the psychological burden of being a leader in a seemingly hopeless battle. Oui, zombie. Ripley's continued struggle with the Xenomorphs is a reflection of humanity's own need to control and conquer. The Xenomorphs are an uncontrollable force of nature, much like the many aspects of life that humanity has historically tried, and often failed, to control. Ripley's relentless battle against the alien threat is in many ways a reflection of humanity's attempts to deal with its darker, uncontrollable impulses. The more Ripley battles the Xenomorphs, the more she seems to realize that the true enemy isn't just the creatures themselves, but the way they represent humanity's darker nature. It's almost as if Ripley's personal journey mirrors the struggle humanity faces in trying to overcome its destructive tendencies. Ripley's character arc also offers a fascinating commentary on motherhood and the desire to protect one's own. From the moment she forms a bond with Newt in Aliens, Ripley transforms into a protector, fiercely committed to ensuring the safety of those she loves. Her relationship with Newt parallels her relationship with the Xenomorph Queen, both of them mothers trying to protect their offspring, but with starkly different methods. Ripley's ability to balance her vulnerability as a mother with her fierce determination to combat the alien menace emphasizes the unique and complex nature of motherhood. Ripley's evolution from a lone survivor to a maternal figure shows how she becomes more than just a fighter. She becomes a protector, a symbol of maternal strength that is able to transcend her own trauma and sacrifice everything for others. Throughout the Alien franchise, Ripley's continued battle against the Xenomorphs is not just about the alien species. It is a commentary on the struggle between technology and nature. Weyland-Yutani represents the worst of humanity's technological ambitions, the desire to control, exploit, and weaponize even the most dangerous elements of nature. Ripley's opposition to Weyland-Yutani's plans highlights the tension between human ingenuity and the natural world's chaotic, uncontrollable forces. By repeatedly stopping the corporation's schemes, Ripley symbolizes humanity's desire to preserve what is good and ethical in the world, fighting against the forces that wish to exploit and destroy in the name of progress. She stands against the corporation's cold logic and corporate greed, fighting for the preservation of life in its purest form, even if that means facing the alien threat head-on. The constant theme of sacrifice runs throughout Ripley's story. In each film, Ripley sacrifices more of herself in order to stop the alien threat. In Aliens, she sacrifices the comfort of her own life to take on the role of protector for the colonists, particularly Newt. In Alien 3, she sacrifices herself in the ultimate act of redemption, choosing to die alongside the alien menace in order to prevent it from ever spreading again. Ripley's willingness to put the greater good ahead of her own life is the core of her heroism. Her sacrifice, however, is not born from a sense of duty alone. It's also a reflection of her complex relationship with the alien threat. As much as Ripley hates the Xenomorphs, she also understands that they too are victims of a system they didn't create, making her actions even more morally layered. The significance of Ripley's journey is highlighted by the way the Xenomorphs evolve alongside her. As she becomes more experienced and battle-hardened, the aliens themselves become more complex. The Xenomorphs are no longer just mindless creatures. They are a force that represents the consequences of humanity's inability to control what it creates. The film series never shows the Xenomorphs as purely evil creatures, but instead as a byproduct of humanity's recklessness. The increasing complexity of the aliens symbolizes the growing stakes in Ripley's battle against them. Each encounter with the Xenomorphs is a reflection of humanity's continued struggle to deal with the consequences of its own mistakes. Ripley's legacy is also defined by her strength in the face of extreme adversity. She is an unlikely hero, forced into impossible situations time and time again, but always rising to the challenge. What makes Ripley so compelling as a character is her ability to transcend her circumstances, constantly adapting and evolving to meet the challenges before her. Her story is about more than just survival. It's about resilience, growth, and the ability to transform trauma into a source of strength. This makes Ripley not just a hero in a science fiction saga, but also an enduring symbol of human tenacity. Ripley's survival in the Alien series often feels like a constant fight against an inevitable fate. From the very beginning of the franchise, her life is marked by the harsh realities of space exploration and corporate greed. But Ripley's story is also about the evolution of her humanity. By the time she confronts the Queen in Aliens, Ripley is no longer just a survivor. She is a force of nature. She has become something more than what she once was, someone who can push the boundaries of human endurance and willpower. Ripley represents the strength of human spirit in its purest form. She shows that even when the odds are stacked against us, we can endure if we hold on to our sense of purpose. In Alien, Resurrection, Ripley's identity becomes even more complicated, as she's resurrected as a hybrid, a blend of human and alien DNA. This transformation, while seemingly a scientific experiment gone wrong, also marks a significant shift in her character. Ripley is no longer simply trying to protect humanity. She is now fighting with the knowledge that she has become something both human and alien. She is forced to come to terms with the loss of her previous self, and this psychological battle is just as intense as the external one with the Xenomorphs. Ripley becomes more introspective, questioning her role in the universe and whether she can truly ever be human again after everything she's gone through. This new version of Ripley is a tragic, yet incredibly fascinating exploration of identity. One of the most interesting aspects of Ripley's character is her relationship with the other survivors in the series. From her role as a reluctant leader in Aliens to her lone wolf status in Alien 3, Ripley's relationships with the people around her shape her evolution. In Aliens, she forms a maternal bond with Newt, which shows Ripley's desire to protect and nurture, despite the cold, calculated survival instincts that she often has to employ. She balances the emotional weight of leadership with her fierce will to survive, proving that she can be both a compassionate protector and a ruthless warrior. These interactions contrast her relationship with the Xenomorphs, showing how Ripley values the human connections she forms, even as she battles the alien threat. The character arc of Ellen Ripley is a powerful testament to the idea of survival as a form of resistance. Throughout the Alien saga, Ripley faces insurmountable odds, but she fights back not just for her life, but for the survival of humanity. Her battles against the Xenomorphs represent an ongoing resistance to exploitation, dehumanization, and the moral decay brought on by the actions of corporations like Weyland-Yutani. Ripley is not just fighting for herself, she is fighting for everyone who has ever been affected by the corporation's greed and hubris. As a woman in a position of power in a male-dominated industry, Ripley also becomes a symbol of feminist strength, challenging the notion of what it means to be a hero.